So, back with the whole VTubing setup on Linux. I guess we should probably get into how Nova works. Because
Oh God.
that's the part that complicates your setup a little bit more than most people.
Yeah. And and some of it is, oh goodness. I want to say that like, oh, I can do exactly the same thing that Noctopus is doing with Kana, or what maybe Vettel's doing with Nero, and unfortunately, no, I cannot.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot. So, and the reason for that is simple. One is that she has more sounds than just the TTS.
Mm-hmm.
She makes noises beyond just the TTS voice, and that's because there's like a real person behind all that.
Mm-hmm.
That is another VTuber, Sakura Vixie. Shout
Mm-hmm.
out to her. We kind of connected early on before I even took on the Nova and Pulse like thing. I said, you know what? I would like you to be her voice. And she's been paid and compensated. She's got a contract that will be renewing for the use of her voice, but also she provides a lot of little one-off clips, like lots of little sound clips, like Mattman just demonstrated. I don't know if you got to hear that, but
I don't think. No, I didn't hear anything.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But like, there's a bunch of little one-off clips that are there that are triggered off of Firebot currently, but used to start off as just a simple soundboard. Like before I hit affiliate, all I really had was a soundboard, and I would manually trigger some of her some of her sounds before I had anything that could do TTS, like say Tangia, which I'm gonna continue to use for now. Anyways, to bring it back by why I didn't go with like the tried and true VTS Pog, which is kind of like the go-to tool if you are a VTuber and you want to have a TTS mascot. Well, okay, you could do that, but that limits you to only being able to drive your mascot through TTS. And if you have any other sound source, you're going to be limited. You're not going to be able to get your avatar to react to anything else if that's the only way you're driving them. So Nova's actually a couple of things. Her TTS currently is Tangia, and the way I get her to like pull on that is by essentially having Tangia's audio route straight over to VTube Studio. It's like, so the hilarious thing is that Nova is the main model for real in VTube Studio, and Pulse is a live 2D item. That means that VTube Studio can only pick up on a single microphone, or it can monitor a sound output, which is what I have it doing. And so her mouth movements are all driven off of the sound either coming in through Tangia, or it's all, funneling into the same place thanks to audio cables. Or I have right now Firebot handles doing all things that are the one-off sound effects. So certain text in chat will trigger events, and or certain, like, say someone gifts a sub or bits or something, then she'll say thank you. It's one of the pre-recorded lines straight off of Sakura Vixie, with just like a tiny bit of like audio editing to make it sound slightly more like robot-y, whatever.
Right.
And the combination of all this is what makes it that not really feasible to use a tool like VTS Pog, where it kind of forces you to go in this one direction. So ultimately, she's a little bit Tangia, a little bit of Firebot, which is my stream bot. It's also Linux native version, so hooray. And then the virtual audio cables, which as what is this, QPW graph? It's what a mess. But with that, I'm able to route, like essentially combine both of these audio sources, being Tangia, being these audio clips, route them into the same sound sync, and have VTube Studio listen to that. And yeah, that's what essentially drives her speaking, drives her mouth. Everything else, oh wait, for all the movements, there's still more to come.
There's that as well. Because it would be easy if you just did the, hey, if I move my head, Nova moves as well.
Yeah, and if you are watching this stream right now, you can see that we are kind of in sync here and there, but not all the time. Not all the time. And that was also very deliberate. I didn't want her to just mirror my movements one to one. And for the first like week or so, she did, until I finally got that all kind of sorted out. Here's the funny thing about VTube Studio.
Okay.
You can create idle animations. And if once recorded, you can have that just be the animation that plays, usually so that when you lose tracking, your model will do something, usually like go to sleep or do a little dance, maybe you loop it. It's fine. What you might not realize is that you can also disconnect inputs from VTube Studio. You can have a whole bunch of different inputs for your model, and then have, use them to record an idle animation, and then get rid of some inputs. And suddenly, the idle animation only takes over for the inputs that you're not sending. So this is actually what happens with her. She's got a long looping idle animation that it was recorded by me with like for the whole body, but some of her parameters are handled by me and some of them are mirrored. So like maybe, you'll see that I'll look one way, she'll look another. Our eyes will kind of be looking in different directions. Like if she, all in the interest of, say, if I'm looking at chat or I'm eyeing chat, then like so will she. But all of that kind of makes her look a little more independent, like she's kind of doing her own thing, even when I'm kind of fussing around and I can do all sorts of stuff. But there's certain angles I can get at where she doesn't really react much at all to what I do.
Right.
And that's all by design. And it was quite a clever thing that I didn't realize could be done, but it can. And it does help give her a little bit extra independence.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that people kind of forget because of the main attention that the Live 2D tech gets is VTube Studio, is through VTubers. But I remember when this was first coming on the scene, like I've been paying attention to the VTubing space since the very start. And I remember early on, Live 2D, and it's still used today for this, used it, like it was being demoed for visual novels. So, like, this is, like, the whole idle animation thing, like, that is, like, a core thing to a character in a visual novel as you're, like, going, you're reading the text, you're waiting for the next bit of text to appear. So it makes sense why you can do that. It's just, most people are not taking advantage of that because they are doing, like, direct mocap.
Yeah, totally. Direct, complete motion capture, which, by the way, Live 2D items do not have idle animations. Tell me how I know this and why it hurts me. Yeah, so she's the only one that can have the idle animation, and that's why, I'll tell you why I use a single instance of VTube Studio and not two, because I think adding two would just be more of a headache, but... Yeah, I totally lean in hard on the whole, like, treating this as true animation and doing what I can to only put in some parameters, not all of them, letting her do her own thing. There is a different animation that will play when she's excited. So if, like, somebody, charges the station or does something interesting, I can even trigger this button and she can start doing her thing, and we can just kind of... vibe and be excited about something together, and then it'll stop. But all those things, like, I would want to do more with animations over time. It's just, I guess, the interesting balance between having her animate like completely on her own, where at which point the 60-second loop will loop around and it's going to start looking like, oh, she's just a broken record in animation terms. But with that little tiny bit of human input, I feel like she definitely looks a little more organic and a little less like repeating the same patterns over and over again.
Actually, it's a really good point. I hadn't even thought of that. So it's sort of, so there is that loop there, but you're adding in the randomness of your movement, so it sort of hides the fact that there is a loop.
Exactly. So you almost never notice, and like you go looking. You watch the stream long enough, I don't know if you'll notice when something's happening like that, because, depending on what I'm doing, she will react more or less to it. So, yeah, this is one of those things that I had to kind of figure out or look for stuff. Like you will find some tutorials or guides
Mhm.
on like TTS mascots and even creating an idle animation for your TTS mascot. Actually,
Mm.
wait, no, an idle you can't do that. You can make an idle animation for yourself.
Mhm, mhm,
But a lot of this for me was uncharted territory
mhm,
because how many VTubers are doing two main models and
mhm,
like with full like tracking and animation on both of them, and heaven help you if you're trying to use your main model as the second little one.
mhm.
So a lot of stuff I had to figure out how to do. Like the head pat redeem is a complete work of fiction whenever the hand comes over pulse.
Have
Oh my
you ever
god.
considered like making a video series on this or documenting the process you've done in any way, like anything like that? In case anyone else wants to try your
Hmm.
cursed setup.
Oh, I probably should. I've definitely gone over the tools and the specifics on stream before,
Mhm,
usually just for special occasions. So
mhm,
like when we did the big 2.0 debut and we debuted the live 2D models, I went through all of the tooling and everything that kind of makes Nova work and makes Pulse what he is.
mhm.
Um, so it comes down to will I have the time and the energy to do
Sure.
something that's useful as a guide? Because hey, believe it or not, this ain't my full-time gig. This is I stream 3 times a week and I could not do any more. Like
Mhm,
I work a normal 9 to 5
mhm, mhm,
and yeah. So this is my side gig that I use mostly as creative outlet as a way to tap into different energy.
mhm, mhm.
So I don't. That's why my YouTube languishes so much. I barely have like any energy left after these things to do something with that.
Mhm, mhm,
So if you know any editors, maybe hook me up.
mhm. Well, even if it's just for your own personal documentation, just so you don't forget anything that you
Oh,
might any
I
weird
do
stuff you might have
document now and
done.
again.
Okay, okay.
I actually have a checklist for streaming. Like my go live checklist has so many steps and so many pieces of software written down.
Hmm. No, that
Just
actually
booting up everything.
that is really cool because my streaming setup is it's very it's I turn my lights on, I turn my camera on, I turn my microphone on, I turn OBS on. I press go. That's pretty much it.
Oh God. Hold on. Let me see here. Just in applications, 7 applications I need to run,
Uh-huh.
not including Steam.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Steam is one of them, so I guess that makes 8. And then whatever, like, if we're gonna game, usually that's gonna be the extra one, unless we're like capturing off of the Elgato card. So yeah, I got a lot to set up. Not to mention the hardware. So I do use Stream Deck for managing a lot of stuff. I'm
Mhm.
so thankful that we have some decent options on Linux for
Yeah,
this.
which of the tools do you use for the Stream Deck?
Oh my God, I've used all of them at
Which one
some
do you
point or
currently
another.
use?
So I'm currently using Stream Controller, and
Okay.
that one is easy to find. They do have a flat pack offering, I believe. So you should be able to get it. And it was the main reason I go with this one is because it was the only one that could drive the audio dials on the Stream Deck Plus, which
Oh.
sadly don't work the way I want them to,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna use them anyways for like just balancing my own audio for me.
Mm-mm.
They don't do a damn thing for the stream, but between between this one and Firebot, I've kind of reconsolidated all my actual functionality into Firebot,
Mhm.
which is just a stream bot. It has the OBS plugin, it has the VTube Studio plugin. It's able to talk to everything, to be able to talk to Twitch. So all I really do from my Stream Deck and from Stream Controller
Mhm.
is literally just send HTTP post requests into Firebot, and Firebot handles all of the details. And honestly, that's a lot less convoluted than anything else I was doing before,
Mhm.
where I'd have to try to do it all within the Stream Controller or the Stream Deck software, not always Stream Controller.
Mm-mm.
And there's like it's a mixed bag of like what's going to be supported where, if you're gonna have to go do a workaround with like some CLI commands, so some terminal commands if you can't get a plugin, and if that plugin even works, and if you can get it to work. Yeah. So ultimately, I stuck with Firebot because it's a Linux native application. It's free and it's open source, all the good stuff. It does all I need it to do, and it handles basically it handles all the dynamic events. It handles all the things I need to activate from the Stream Deck. So it greatly simplified my Stream Deck setup, where each button effectively is just one HTTP post. Maybe it'll change state to like a different button underneath to post something else, but yeah, it's gotten so much easier when I just switched everything over to Firebot, rather than saying, oh, this Stream Deck software can do this, but not that. And this one can do that, but not this. And some of Stream Deck software could simulate key presses, others couldn't. Some could send out terminal commands, others couldn't. And eventually I realized, Firebot can do everything. It can do all the things, and I just need to tell it to do a thing, and that was exactly what I needed.
I might have to take a look at this one then.
Oh yeah, Firebot's freaking great. I will be happy to send you to that.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll take a look afterwards, I guess.
I'm gonna put that in Discord, but also in chat, which I don't need to put the Firebot GitHub. I should probably put the actual website, which is firebot.app. I should probably use that instead. I'm just so used to GitHub for so many things now.